Hey everybody, this is Jeff Stansfield, the ringmaster of EsportsCircus. Welcome to the Freak Show. This is another edition of the Freak Show here on my channel, and we are actually broadcasting through the Personal Wager Conference to celebrate the new PS5 and the new Call of Duty Cold War. It's going to be great. I'm a first-person shooter fan, and I've been one for a long time. Ever since I was adopted to the Doom world, and I made my own maps. That was great. I love that. I still love that game. They have a new one that just came out too. So this is a technology panel talking about how technology works into, we have applying technology. Some of the technology we have one of our great technology experts, and then we have also a facility. And I have two good friends, Bert, who's going to introduce himself and what he does, and then we'll get over to Tommy, and Tommy will tell about his fantastic little kingdom he's building down in San Diego. So, Bert, why don't you talk about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. My name is Bert Beatty. I work with D3 LED. We are a LED display and control systems company handling everything from stuff you'd see at retail locations all the way up to things you might see in Times Square or sports arenas and everything in between. Myself, I'm an esports gaming and strategist and program manager. I handle our global esports initiative for the company.
That's very cool. And I can see you have a little playground there with all kinds of toys there.
Yeah, so I've been spending more and more time here with all my stuff. And see, there you go, right here, Call of Duty Cold War right there. So
that's very cool. So next we have Tommy, and Tommy, tell us about what you're doing and all your place and what that map is behind you.
How big sometimes San Diego is. But what we are doing down here is we are focusing on building the community of San Diego up through high school youth, streaming academies, and many different platforms that help San Diego grow and put ourselves higher on the map than number 2 currently. So we hope with the facility with Third Eye Esports Arena and a couple other franchise models that we look to spread the esports love all around the county of San Diego, and we look forward to creating some very powerful gaming athletes out of it.
That's very, very cool. So let's talk about technology. So Bert, you obviously make these giant video walls, and we've been installing video walls for a long time. We've been installing them into like house of worships and to some of the broadcasters that we deal with, and so there's been a lot of changes into the video wall industry, and how it's really grown, especially in the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
So, tell me like some of the differences. So like maybe you talk about some of the new growths that have come out in the next couple of years, and then maybe you can get into some of the things that maybe we could talk about, like differences. Like what is the dotty pitch thing that people talk about? How close do the pixels get? What does that mean?
Yeah, for sure. So thanks, Jeff. LED is all encompassing. One of the great things about LED is it.
I know.
You were still getting an echo?
Yeah.
See, I don't know why.
I think somebody's got to be on this end when we're mixing your shots.
I think it's on our end.
Somehow the
Gotcha.
show audio is feeding back.
Yeah. Just go ahead and talk to.
Yeah, no problem. So one of the really cool things about LED right now is its kind of expansive use. You were just talking, Jeff, about the in the past, when we were looking at things, especially when it came to like esports and gaming, We deal with a lot of stuff when it comes to like refresh rates and lag time and a lot of that kind of thing. So one of the cool discussions that I've been having with people is I've seen over the last couple of years that conversation has changed. So rather than me sitting there telling somebody, like Tommy, for example, he comes to me and he says, I'm building this fabulous arena and we want to put LED up. What can we do? The discussion with him, maybe a decade ago or 5 years ago would have been more about what potentially he, was able to do, right? Well, this is what the technology can do. Tommy's brain is telling him this is what he wants, but this is what we can actually do. The cool thing is what's happened now is that conversation has changed. So Tommy, somebody like that is coming to me and they're saying, this is what I want to do. And the technology has now caught up to people's imaginations and creativity. So kind of like what you were talking about, Jeff, the pixel pitch, it really helps tell the story. And really easy pixel pitch on an LED wall is just the space from the center of one pixel to the center of another, right? Yeah. So tight pitch LED is a thing now. And so, we can go sub 1.0 pitch, standard now has become 2.5 and 1.6 and ultra high definition. So being able to see what's in somebody's head visually on a wall at an arena or at a LAN center in a retail location, or ding ding ding, even at somebody's house if you have a personal gaming studio that you're trying to create, you're able to actually envision it and then see that happen now. So it's really cool.
Very, very cool. And I and some of the new things that I've seen in that is that where you can actually wrap around corners of walls. So you can, before you could curve on a corner, but now they're actually having where you could actually go on a hard corner, and you could wrap around that hard corner.
Absolutely a thing. It has been for a while. The ability to create kind of a 360 LED display that's circular. You can do with Flex LED rather than the old school, which is where you had to create several small custom LED panels, which we can still do as well. But now we can actually have the LEDs. They can have the LEDs butt right against each other in a corner, and there's almost no seam in there. So being able to have content then that would stretch from one side of the display all the way around is something that can absolutely happen. And so when you start to get into, not necessarily VR, AR stuff, but just more telling a story with your content and then being able to flow not only through your facility, but also, on a display itself, being able to wrap that around the corner, you can absolutely do that.
That's great. So, Tommy, Bert has some great technology. He's saying this is great technology, but we need people to implement this technology. We need people the visionaries to actually take this technology and put it into a facility, which is what you're doing. And you're building this huge facility down in San Diego. What are some of the things that when you look to implement technology, what are some of the questions that you've been asking people like Bert?
Well, I think the biggest thing is how can we, as a facility, not just through a physical standpoint of delivering the customer that great experience, but from a visual online standpoint, because now we're starting to realize that, hey, especially this year more than ever, everyone is online, everyone's streaming their own content. I mean, this is I had to download this app earlier. It is probably the fifth video camera app I have, for this type of group communication. And, so for us, it's about, once again, trying to not just deliver an in-person experience that's like no other here in San Diego, but a visual one that, delivers that same type of virtual reality. And not just that, when it comes to the technology, there's so much new stuff that's coming with, AR and being able to take, I was just looking at the Masters earlier today, and they got, if you have the Masters logo, you can scan with Snapchat and they do this whole walkthrough like you're actually there, and it's really cool. And we want to be able to, once again, contribute those type of attributes to our facility, because we see that it's more than just showing up and paying an entry fee and getting in. You know, you want to be able to share your experience with your friends, with your family members, with people around the world. And so, yes, we do want to deliver that experience with you while you're here. But at the end of the day, it's all about what is also being viewed online. And so with the technology nowadays, especially with the screens, the pixel and the ability to see how clear it is through another camera, where you try to, I mean, the fact that we can't even get a good video from Samsung over to iPhone, it's just ridiculous. But, you know, what we want to be able to do is make sure that, hey, the right equipment's in place, that if we're broadcasting it in their iPhone or their Samsung or whatever technology they're using to expose what's going on in the facility, I think is also, you know, a very key part. And so anything from, you know, what our replay screens look like to what the entrance in that customer's experience when they're walking through the front of the facility. You know, before they even get in, we want to deliver a great experience. And you know, we're looking at many different options, from putting LED screens in the windows to, you know, having all glass entry, so that way when you walk up, it just captures your eye driving by, or, you know, sitting in your car. You know, really it makes people think, what's going on really in there? And not only are you able to see it through a broadcasting type of perspective, but, you know, the whole point is to use the technology that people like Bert and others have to really sell that experience.
That's great. That's great. So we have this great video wall. We have this great experience that you're building. Tell me a little bit about some of the infrastructure technologies that you're looking to build. Are you like the streamer systems, the gamers area, so we can get an idea of kind of like the workflow that you're looking at to build in this facility?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of everything. You know, I think that's exactly kind of the best part San Diego has is, you know, there's a lot of great game publishers here. So trying to mix a little bit of the streaming with the gameplay, with the youth competitions. Everyone's at their own level. And it's from me personally to, you know, a 9-year-old. You know, a 9-year-old knows now how to build out a computer sometimes. I'm not saying all of them do, but, you know, the knowledge that is being that is available for all ages is unbelievable. And so, you know, I guess, you know, without going into full detail, but, you know, I guess the biggest things is kind of really looking at, hey, what is the top quality, and then what is the quality of equipment that you need that's just going to help get by, because that's what the people at home are using. And so we want to be able to not just help deliver that experience to help them see, hey, use this equipment. It might provide a better pixel for you, or, sorry about that. Yeah, no problem. All righty. We'll have to start that over, if you don't mind.
That's okay. Take your time.
What was, yeah, no, go ahead. Let's just start the whole question thing over again.
Okay, yeah, so we wanted to know, like, so when we build a facility, we're looking to take what we know these kids have, what they have at their homes, but we want to take them and build them. You know, anyone can build a train set at home, but if you go to a Disneyland, it's a bigger train set. You know, it's a bigger, more experience. So that's what kind of like what we see in a lot of the facilities that we've built out, you know, over the years. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to see what kind, you know, are you going to have like shoutcasters area, and you're going to have a players area, and you're going to have one stage, multiple stages, and then what are you doing to kind of like, what's your game plan for kind of like laying this out? What's your Disneyland look like?
Yeah, so it is a combination of a lot of those topics. Anything from streaming to team development to youth academies. We want to be able to provide a large variety of opportunity for them. And by them, I mean the ones who are trying to take their production and their brand to a new level. Because nowadays it is more than just the brands that we see sponsoring the NFL. Kids are becoming famous and making more money than their parents are. and that's hard, especially when it comes from seeing people like, for example, I just watched Ninja the other day's new facility that he's just got designed from Red Bull, and to see the history of him growing from his building out his personal one to now have the top equipment that he can get. The kids are starting to now do more research and ask more questions on what products do they need to be able to make sure that their show, their content is looking just as good. And so with us, it is about being able to mix the streaming rooms where you're now, when we get the ability to, you're leaving your bedroom, your backdrop with your dog and your kids sometimes running around, and now giving them a professional set with professional production, where they've never had that opportunity years before. One of the biggest things that we did through the past of getting here was working with a lot of real estate agents in San Diego. We have some unbelievable homes here, and they didn't know how to use the right equipment to get them that exposure. We provided that for them. We brought in the equipment, we brought in the broadcasting, we brought in the lights and the microphones, and that's what is helping us grow San Diego as a whole. Yeah. Through the production side. And we're going to do the same thing with gamers. We're going to give them the ability to come in and take your friends from your online type of gameplay and say, hey, let's train in person, just like we would if it was football or basketball. Let's go ahead and let's get some exhibition matches together. Let's go ahead and let's try to use this sim equipment for racing that didn't exist at your house, because you're building something from just the pennies that you have to afford, where now this is the best of the best. This is what the pros that are racing in F1 are using. This is the same thing that the people practicing in NASCAR are going to be using. Yeah. This is the same 4K, 35-inch curved screens, and here's 3 of them. And so not just that, it's also the broadcasting for the competitions. We look to take the San Diego esports high school leagues and youth and college, and we look to broadcast their entertainment and their competitions. Yeah. Not many people, are using the youth and the high school leagues and the athletes in those areas through broadcasting. That's a lot of opportunity for not just a high school kid who's, torn his ACL and lost his football scholarship. Now he has another opportunity to get recruited into, the NCAA through esports. And so with us, it's really about trying to create the future of how our technology is advancing the careers and the brands of others, from streaming to new team development to, like I said, just pure recruitment.
That's great. Yeah, some of the technology we've been looking at, one of the problems we see in a lot of things, when we go to a lot of schools, we're seeing that when they build out their facilities, I went to you go to UC Irvine, which is an incredible school, and I'm looking at how they're building out their facility, and they basically take 50 computers and they put them on the desks, and they leave them there, and a lot of schools have problems with kids maybe vandalizing or getting mad because they got shot in the head and they bang the computer, or they figure that they deserve that SSD more than the school does, something like that. We had one incident where some kid decided he wanted to have play a joke on everybody, and he loaded a bunch of porn on all the computers at the end of the night, and then the morning opened up and boom, the school got a shock. And sometimes school kids upload malware and stuff like that. So one of the technologies that we're implementing for esports is actually a system that takes all the computers away from the desks. So on a desk you have a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse, maybe a headset, and that's all you have. The computer is actually locked away in a secure cabinet, and you can still have all the fun lights like I have in the back of me. You can have all the fun lights on the rack, and you can showcase those lights and still make it pretty and cool looking, but they're locked up behind a secure cabinet. And the cool thing about that is not only are they secure, so you don't have any dangers of anything happening to the computer, but if you need to replace a computer, like if you're on a desk and you need to replace a computer breaks down, you have to take that computer away, you have to put it someplace, and you have to go get another computer, you have to put a computer there, you have to hook it up, you have to load up all the drivers, all the firmware, log into the internet, do all these things. You could be computer could be down for an hour or two, and then you have all these wires you have to run to every desk. You have to run power for everything, and internet for everything, and video for everything, and if you want to have a monitor on the computer to capture the video screen to put it up on Bert's wall, then you have to run another video cable for that, and you have to put a camera there, and you have to do all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of us with none of that stuff. There's one cable to rule them all. It's basically, you just run one cable and it does everything. It runs into a small little box. You plug everything into that box, and that's it all is. It's and so it's very, very easy, very much easier to work with, and a much better workflow for schools and any place who has, like Tommy's place, facilities like what Tommy's building, to integrate that technology. And if you want to move a computer, you just move all you move is a wire. You move one wire, and that one wire moves wherever you want it, and then that's it. And then you just put the so in a facility, like at a school, if you're setting up and you want to move it to, like, say, the stadium or the school theater or any place, you can actually do it through. You don't even have to run a cable. You're already cabled into the network. You have to just connect the cable to that auditorium's network port, and the computer's there. So it's much simpler way of doing things. The other technology that we're doing that integrates into what Bert has is that we're working with broadcasting signals and sending broadcasting signals. Most schools, they buy an inexpensive, cool but inexpensive low-end broadcasting technology, and then it doesn't allow you to really route video. The one great thing about video walls technology is that every panel is independent to itself. And so Bert, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how you can, some of the things you can do when you have these. I have a signal and I can route any signal to any one of your little blocks. Talk about that, how that works and all that.
Yeah, so a couple things there. So first and foremost, kind of what Jeff's talking about is basically, if you have, and I'll use Tommy's example, or even what I have right here, right? Just my TV that I'm playing on, right? Which is just a regular display, or like he was talking about, a 35-inch curved display. Those are great for single-use items, right? So if I'm playing a specific game and I need to broadcast that game here while I play, it's great. It acts like a monitor, right? Anything more than that, you lose. Well, let me back up. If you want to do anything beyond that, using a display is very limiting on what you can do, right? So an LCD, or even any kind of single 40, 50-inch display or something like that, it's very limiting. You are only able to do what that monitor is able to do. If I wanted to, for example, in my facility, an ad for X, that they're a sponsor up at the top, and play the game here, and then have something else down here, I'm only able to do that based on the content that I'm running. It's not something I can upload instantly. However, if I have an LED display, right? So if I have an LED display and I have, a wall or something behind my cash wrap at a retail location, or at a high school, at a facility, anything like that, I can segregate off pieces of my display to run whatever I want. So one square here can be running, a live broadcast that's on loop of a YouTube clip. This can be an ad up here, and then I can have a game that's being played by somebody right here in the corner, and so on and so forth. So it's extremely versatile and dynamic on what you can do. One of the cool things when it comes to a broadcast standpoint is the ability to have that's one of the strengths of our company, really. So, we recently merged with our sister company, Southpaw Live. And Southpaw handles a huge amount of sports arenas. You know, the Kings, they did Dallas Stadium, and on and on. So many different sports stadiums. And one of the things we're really good at is the corporate side of the business, and then the esports and gaming and broadcast. And so now we're able to really meld those two things together. And one of the really cool things about D3's technology is that instead of having an LED display, and instead of having a control system by whoever, right, and the software by whoever on that, right, I have a ComKey control system or a Nova controller, a display. They're all different companies. Our company manufactures and does all of those things. So why is that important? Well, it's the same thing as this, right? If I have an Apple iPhone, it doesn't run, Android software, right? It runs iOS. And so it talks to each other. Well, what's cool is that my phone can talk to my computer because it's a Mac, and that can also talk to my tablet, which is an iPad, and those can all be synchronous, and I'm not going to have any issues or problems. So it's almost the same thing, having a company that does the display, the broadcast, or the control system, and the software that runs on that really allows you to get incredibly dynamic when you're broadcasting, when you're running live events, when you're trying to do things like over IP, which everything we do is over IP. So it really allows you to be incredibly dynamic, which really opens up a lot of doors.
That's great. That's all true. I totally, it's, you can have, we use in some of our events, when we do events, we use fixed displays sometimes, because they're, they can have these touchable displays where you can do kiosk systems and stuff like that. But anything more than that, at the versatility of LED displays, that you can build them, because you build them in blocks. They come in a square block. So if you want to, instead of having a 50-inch monitor, I can have a 3x3. I can have a 3x3 video. You don't have to have. Everyone thinks video walls. They think of these gigantic things. They see at the League of Legends tournament with these gigantic video screens, and they think that, and that is part of what video walls are. But people don't realize that a video wall can be as small as a 1x1, or a 2x2, or a 4x4. Or any.
Really dynamic is the thing. So you can really get something that you can create shapes, triangles, and circles, and all kinds of things to be able to do an LED display. One of the things I'll kind of mention, and I'll touch back, on what Tommy said, because it's another one of my hot buttons when you get into gaming in general, but especially esports. The technology has caught up, right? And then so the cost has come down. And so there's a less of a barrier to entry for individuals, for smaller venues, people wanting to do something at home, right? I'm sure a lot of us watch The Mandalorian, and we're able to see that kind of XR technology where they do, kind of immerse you in a whole set of LED. If somebody is a streamer and they're making, $100,000 a month, let's just say, and I'm making that up, it is within their realm to be able to create something that they can create an immersive experience in their house and create something like you're going to get with like Sushi Dragon online or something like that, right? Creating, YouTube clips and things like that. So for me, I am very, very, very aware of barriers to entry in esports. Obviously, what I'm talking about is the technology barrier for companies, for individuals, for smaller locations, and everything in between, right?
Yeah.
But there's also the barrier to entry when we get into generalized esports in general, right? So computers, consoles, PCs, internet, those are all huge barriers to entry, which really hamper diversity and inclusion when you get into gaming and esports right now. And so one of the really cool things that I'm finding is I personally feel that once we are, God willing, through the COVID pandemic, and we see venues like Tommy's start to really flourish, and everybody is flooding back into them without restrictions, what I believe we're going to see is that in and of itself is taking away a barrier to entry. What you're allowing is somebody like Tommy is giving somebody the chance to come in that maybe doesn't have the ability, doesn't have the money, doesn't have the wherewithal to be able to do that. You look at what like John is doing with Nerd Street Gamers. and a lot of their centers that they're trying to build. And it's really the next evolution of our industry, is seeing people like Tommy creating these places where kids can come in. Number one, they get introduced to it first and foremost. Right off the bat, you're starting something new. And then number two, you're allowing them to use, feel, play with, touch, be a part of the technology. And then number three, you're doing it in a setting that doesn't feel manufactured, right? It feels like it was created for this. And I'll go back to what you said, Jeff, a little bit. You know, I'm seeing this a lot. I'm seeing people wanting to get into, open start teams and do all this stuff. And so what are people doing? They're coming in, they're throwing up, folding tables and throwing a bunch of computers on them and saying, here's our team sports, which is awesome. And it's totally understandable. But one of the things that I'm getting, correct, yeah, exactly. I'm getting conversations with people now where I'm starting to talk to them more and more about, look, we need to treat this differently now. We need to treat this like if you were Texas A&M, you wouldn't just come in and have some random weight room, right? It's going to be some crazy weight room that's going to look great to attract people in there. It's going to make them want to be a part of your team. Number one, it gives you a sense of belonging. It gives you a sense of feeling. It makes you feel important. And so coming into a facility that has, and I'm making this up, but, a gamer area, it has a little snack area over here. There's a place where we can do broadcasts. There's, of course, the center where you're going to be playing the video games, and you're going to be playing, online against people and things like that. But there's an LED display which is going to be showing, statistics or run advertising. There's a ticker that's an LED display. So it's creating that experience, because here's the simple fact. Esports and gaming is about community and engagement. And the more community and engagement that you can do, whether that means in my soul as a gamer and a young kid wanting to go in, or that somebody's sitting at home and wanting to bring them into the experience in your venue, or it's melding those two things together by being able to allow them to shoot something on their phone and it immediately plays up on the LED display here. And oh yeah, by the way, I can immediately click and have it download to, Snap, IG, whatever, YouTube, whatever I want to be able to play that, bringing that community engagement. That is what is going to create and break down those first initial barriers, and then we can start to have better discussions.
That's very cool. That's all that's so true, and how that all integrates. And technology is, like I said, technology is becoming less expensive and more powerful, and more creative. And before I ask Tommy one question, one thing I wanted to say, I've been looking online, and one of the things that I've seen in video walls is, all these like cheap video walls that get up, and I saw one video wall that was like just gigantic video wall in Las Vegas. It's like 180 feet long, and it was like, and then it. And the picture of it was it collapsed because they didn't have the right integration team and the right technology, wherever you are, to do that. So, and there's a lot of, even though things are getting cheaper out there, I think that the best price is not always the best deal, in that. And you need to have, it's like you need to have proper technology, proper people to install it. So if we go places like, Tommy's, is an incredible place where you're going to have all kinds of people coming in, families, from adults to kids. Everybody's going to be coming into this facility. It's going to be crowded. He's going to have to sell e-tickets and D-tickets to his place. So talk to me about the difference between cheap technology and and the crappy stuff that I see a lot of people just getting bargains on.
Is that me?
It's you. Yeah.
Yes. So that's a real easy conversation. That's a short conversation to have. I mean, basically, you can buy LED displays from anywhere, right? There's thousands of companies that sell LED displays from China and all over the place. But one of the things that comes, and this is true for all technology, cheapest is not always the best. And I always tell everybody the same thing. Look, it's not about finding the most cost-effective product, the cheapest product. It's finding the most cost-efficient product. What's going to be best? What's going to be able to give you what you're looking for? But it's also going to stand up for the long term. It's going to be future proofed as this industry goes at lightning speed, by the way. So the stuff that you buy today is not going to be worthless tomorrow. That's a huge issue and a huge problem. And it's one of the things that our original company founder, George Pappas, really wanted to take into account was how can we make a product that can be dynamic and grow? But as this industry changes so fast, when it comes to LED display technology, this goes the same for any audio visual that you're really going to hear about. How can we really take our product and make it so that what people are getting now is going to be just as good in 5 years as it is today, and that it's going to be future proofed? And so I think that really is what you get when you decide to spend on quality rather than on cost.
That's very cool. So Tommy, we've talked about a lot of those video walls and how it integrates into your facility, into facilities like your facility. What other technologies are you really looking at? What's some of the top things that you're saying I got to have this in my facility?
It's that's hard. Top five. I mean, there's so much out there, and especially when you look at the VR world. Trying to be a full esports entertainment on a trainer. Let me find a better way to say that. To be a full esports entertainment venue that is focused on the training aspect of these esports athletes, VR is still a little ways out. Okay, as far as the competition side goes, it's great for the amusement parks, your Six Flags, Disney World, Universal, places like that. Like it's an amazing opportunity, and I think the world, as we continue to grow technology-wise through the VR, we will be able to start integrating more of your Ready Player One, hopefully, styles, because that'll change the entire game. Even looking at some of the dodgeball ways, a gentleman sent me, and I get these things all the time. I mean, there's so much technology out there. People always, sending them over of, hey, look at this, look at that. And when you have a building the size that we're looking at, you can put some of those features in there. But at the end of the day, it's all about, hey, what does the customer want? What does the esports athlete truly want? And how can we help deliver that to them through, the square footage that we have available? And it's being picky. You have to look at, outside of just the numbers and what's your, ROI on this and that. It's once again, it's what's going to be the future of esports. And that's what we are focusing on. And, I start to see VR is going to be big in the racing side of things. Wearing, Fox Racing, we see in San Diego that, in Southern California alone, that racing is a very good thing. Outside of just your basic Fortnite and FIFA competitions, I can really put a big amount on saying that, hey, sim racing with the F1 and NASCAR is going to take over the esports competition soon. I think with COVID, it's made it a bigger exposure. And the equipment that comes with that is amazing. But when it comes to, like I said, trying to pick your top favorites, man, I would say, that
Well, what are some of that's the top favorite? What are some of the ones you like? What are some? I mean, you mentioned VR, so you're actually gonna. VR is a very cool thing to add into a facility like yours. What like shoutcasting? Are you looking at that kind of technology? Are you looking at some new integrated ways of gaming consoles? I mean, are you going to have consoles or PCs? You're looking at more of that, a mobile area. You're going to have a mobile area.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be mixing it all up. I mean, from PCs to Xbox to PlayStation to Nintendo. I mean, they're all going to be in there. Even your 64. We're still going to go old school with it. GoldenEye, Mario Kart. Those are the things that, once again, the age of gamers right now is so large of a range. All the way from, my team right now that I play with, and it's you can't really say it's a team, but we play regularly like it's a team. You know, a gentleman of mine, you know, he's a sniper in the Army. Him and his family are stationed in Hawaii. I play with his wife and his 6-year-old son. You know, the four of us, you know, we get dubs. Like, we're winning all the time.
Well, that's some great information. Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate it. I learned a lot, and I appreciate both of you coming aboard and giving your information and your time. And I want to thank the audience as well. I appreciate you coming aboard and listening to this panel. If you have any questions on the panel, you can email me, Jeff@EsportsCircus.com. That's Jeff at EsportsCircus.com. Also, you can call us at 800-287-5095. That's 800-287-5095. This panel will repeat. We're going to have it repeat a couple of times during the 24-hour conference. I want to thank the Personal Wager and their incredible support of us and the Freak Show. And I will thank you very much, and I will see you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye. I'm Jeffrey Stansfield. I'm the ringmaster of EsportsCircus. I'd like to invite you to come and run with the circus. The EsportsCircus helps schools develop esports teams and host in-person events at the schools, allowing students to play on massive stages they might not get the opportunity to do. The problem in the industry is that most schools don't know how to develop teams, monetize teams, or recruit students and find career paths, among many other issues. For example, most schools build a LAN center when building out their esports area, putting many computers on desks next to kids like they did in the 80s. This workflow is not flexible and opens the door to things like vandalism, theft, and uploading of dangerous stuff. The EsportsCircus has a proven workflow that is secure and can move the system anywhere on campus in minutes. Schools usually are too far away from large stadiums, and the stadiums don't like to host collegiate events because it hasn't been as much profit as hosting professional events. We handle this issue by working with schools to develop programs to meet their needs and work with student clubs to bring their dreams alive of having an esports team on campus. We host events at schools, bringing the EsportsCircus to the schools. We invite other schools from around the area in a massive circus environment. At the EsportsCircus, the college and high school athletes can compete on stages and participate in other activities to help foster STEM creativity with esports, robotics, virtual reality, game design, production, and many other disciplines. The EsportsCircus gives profits back to the schools to help them build their program. If a school hosts us on campus, they get 5% off the profits. We also have opportunities for hosting schools and participating schools to share in revenues with a 25% discount on ticket sales and a 50-50 sponsorship revenue split on all sponsorships they bring in. Even though we have recently launched, we have many years of experience behind us. I'm a broadcast engineer with over 30 years of experience building hundreds of TV stations all over the country. Other executives have over 10 decades of experience in marketing, branding, production, social media, and sports. This year, we actually received the prestigious STEM certification for outstanding achievement in our past and our revolutionary program for developing a full package of STEM activities for schools. If you have any questions about our program, please visit our website, esportscircus.com, and I will see you at the circus.